You are now about to witness the strength of street knowledge.
What's up, ladies? How y'all doing? It is your diva in knowledge, Lady Mocha, representing Mocha's Ladies Lounge. Blessings to all of you. Initially, I was going to go live for the first time today, but too much was going on. I was getting calls, calls off the hook on my phone, and I'm like, this is not going to be a good live. Unfortunately, when you do a live early in the day, you take a chance because during the daytime is when things are the most busiest. People are calling you about business related matters. So it's probably better that I go live in the evening, because truth be told, most of you ladies, I'm sure y'all are working. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start going live sometimes in the evenings, probably about 8ish, 9ish. I'm going to try not to go live too late because it's just too much going on during the day. So I had to go ahead and cut that live really quick and delete that video. So I'm just going to go ahead and do my pre-recorded session. That way, if there's any interruptions, I could always finish up. And I'll be premiering the video. That way I'll be interacting live with you in the chat as the video is live streaming. So we'll still be able to have that interaction as we usually do. But yeah, I had to go ahead and shut that live down because I'm just getting way too many calls and whatnot. But anyway, I want to get to the story right away. I felt it was very imperative because I'm sure many of you probably have daughters. If you don't have daughters, you probably have nieces. We all have young women in our family who we want to see do well, because it's very unfortunate that you have a lot of young women that have made adult decisions with the little girl mindset. And when you make adult grown woman decisions with the little girl mindset, you find out you're not as ready and capable to take on the responsibilities of a grown woman. And it's very unfortunate that we're in a generation where you really can't teach these young women anything. They think they know more than you. They think they are smarter than women who have been there and done that. That's the generation we're dealing with. We're dealing with young women that are very rebellious, who think they have all the answers, especially when it comes to dealing with the opposite sex, males. They really think they understand how men operate psychologically, emotionally, and mentally. And they find out in the long run, the hard way, that they don't know anything about men like they think that they do. And this is what separates women today from women back then. Back in the day, we used to listen to our aunts. We used to listen to our grandmothers. I know for me personally, I can't speak for all women, I really valued the advice and opinion of older women. I used to really value that. And I would always call my aunt if there was certain things I was uncomfortable talking to my mother about, which me and my mother are very close and have always been close. I would talk to my aunts. I would talk to my grandmothers. There was always some type of older female figure, not a bitter one, that would belittle men and make me hate men and resent men, like, oh, men ain't no good, this and that. But I had women in my life that really prepared me for reality. I had women who taught me, look, there's no promises in a man staying with you because y'all have children. There's no promises in a man being faithful to you. I've always had women in my life who prepared me for reality, and I passed those same wisdom and knowledge onto my daughter. I let her know that, look, even though you're beautiful, you're gorgeous, you're stunning, it does not exempt you from being disrespected, from being cheated on, from being lied to. Don't think because you're beautiful, don't think because you have a baby that you're automatically going to win that man over and he's destined to be with you for the rest of your life. It's very important as women that we prepare our daughters for the truth, that we prepare them for real life. I think what's going on with a lot of these young women, a lot of older women, their mothers aren't preparing them for reality. We give them this false sense of hope that they could just go out here in the real world, find a guy they like, get pregnant from them, and boom, just everything should go great from there. A lot of women were not being transparent with our daughters, with young women coming up underneath us. We make them think, get a man with money, secure the bag so you can live the good life. And we know it does not always go that way. Like this older woman told me, things don't always go according to plan. Sometimes when you try to be slick, you try to be manipulative, and you make decisions out of spite, out of revenge, because you want to keep a person in their life, in your life. There's a man you want and you don't feel confident enough to earn him the right way. You have to have a child or put him in a situation in which you think is going to make him remain obligated to you. And when these young women find out different, that doesn't work, they end up becoming very distraught. And when a young woman becomes distraught because she has not fully emotionally developed, meaning she has not encountered enough experiences as a grown woman to learn how to keep her emotions in check, what ends up happening is she makes very devastating decisions, permanent decisions based off of temporary emotions. And that is exactly what happened, y'all, to this 29-year-old woman, Trinae Bibbs. And I'm gonna just call her Bibbs because that's too ghetto of a name for me to pronunciate correctly more than once, so I'm gonna just call her Miss Bibbs or Trinae. Nevertheless, 29-year-old Trinae, Houston mother, was sentenced to life in prison Monday in the beating death of her infant daughter in 2016 out of revenge against the baby's father. Trinae Bibbs, 29, of Houston, was convicted of felony murder in the death of 4-month-old Brielle Robinson in April 2016. So she been in there 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. Oh, 8 years. Wow. So yeah, this happened quite a while ago, y'all. The conviction came in the second trial in the case. Bibbs was previously convicted of a capital murder, but that verdict was reversed on appeal. Bibbs unalived her daughter because the baby's father no longer wanted a relationship, according to the assistant district attorney. Here's what we need to know regarding this very tragic incident. Bibbs unalived her newborn in a Houston hotel room. Emergency room doctors said Bibbs did not seem interested in the baby's medical care or the consequences for the fatal head injury she inflicted. 2016 decision that reversed Bibbs' earlier conviction. Clinical psychologist Gerald Harris found that Bibbs suffered from postpartum depression from psychotic episodes. Harris added that Bibbs was suffering from a disease or defect of the mind that she did not know what she did was wrong, according to the decision. The newborn passed after suffering multiple rib fractures and other traumas involving several organ systems, including a brain bleed and laceration of the liver. Bibbs originally told doctors that the newborn was injured after falling from her car seat onto concrete, but later recanted that to the investigators. Now, for somebody to have postpartum, you have enough sense to lie and say that the baby fell out her car seat. How ironic. Anyhow, Bibbs called 911 to the Red Carpet Inn where she was staying, my apologies, after Robinson Newborn stopped breathing just before 10:30 p.m. April 13, 2016. First responders found Bibbs in the bathroom and the baby on the floor just inside the door. The baby was taken to the hospital where she passed the next day. Hospital officials alerted police. In subsequent interviews, Bibbs admitted she bounced Robinson off the bed to the floor. Bibbs was sentenced after a 1-week trial. District Attorney Napoleon prosecuted the case. Folk argued that Bibbs unalived her daughter because the baby's father no longer wanted a relationship with her. Bibbs deserved a life sentence for what she did to her child. She beat her countless times and seemed to care about as much about the death of her daughter as she did about the life of her daughter. She didn't seem to care. We are very happy with the verdict in the case. We are happy that justice was served for baby Brielle. So, nevertheless, I guess she tried to get it overturned, and it did not work out in her favor. And you know what? I'm so tired of people using postpartum as an excuse to injure these children. I don't really. I will say I would not say that postpartum does not exist. But I will say this is that in many cases, a lot of these young women is not so much taking their anger out on the child due to postpartum, but a lot of the anger has everything to do with a plan, a vindictive plan that failed in their favor. I would say a failed plan. It's not postpartum. Life got harder. This is just my personal perception. I just believe that a lot of these young women intentionally put themselves in situations in which they bring more responsibilities to themselves than what they were prepared to deal with. And when the consequences came back to bite them, they can't handle the aftermath. And I strongly believe that was the case that occurred. This was the case for Miss Bibbs. I don't think it was postpartum. I think she realized that after she had the baby, in hopes of thinking the baby was going to keep the child's father in her life, only to find out that not only did it not keep him in her life, but it left the burden on her. 2 Timothy chapter 3 verses 1 through 5. But understand this, in the last days there will come times of difficulty. For people will be lovers of self, lovers of money, proud, arrogant, abusive, disobedient to the parents, ungrateful, unholy, heartless, unappeasable, slanderous, without self-control, brutal, not loving good, treacherous, reckless, swollen with conceit, lovers of pleasure rather than lovers of God, having the appearance of godliness but denying its powers in such people. And the Bible is coming into full fruition. Man, meaning human beings, not just men or not just women. Human beings, people in general, are becoming lovers of themselves, meaning they don't care who they have to hurt to get what they want. Abusive. We're seeing this every day. Young mothers are willing to hurt their own children. No self-control, no discipline. In other words, you're not going to accept accountability. I created this. I got to find a way to raise this child by myself. When you have women out here who wish they could have a child and can't have one. These are the times we're living in, y'all. The Bible, the word, is revealing itself each and every day. And this is what's at stake. A lot of these young women today don't understand the value of love. And the reason why a lot of them don't understand the value of love, because the truth of the matter is, a lot of them don't have self-love. These young women today, their narratives, their mindset, their philosophies, the things, the way they reason with things in life, it is just very disturbing, because you really can't tell these young women much of anything. A lot of these young women, they won't let you mother them the right way. And in some instances, a lot of us as mothers, we have failed our daughters by being more of a friend instead of their mother. And then when you see them making bad decisions or their life is spiraling under control, now the mother in you wants to kick in when you've been too much of a best friend. And now they don't respect the mother in you because they see you as a girlfriend or a friend of theirs. And as a mother, you have to have spiritual discernment. You have to know when to be a friend, when to be a mother. And there's times when I have conversations with my daughter and we are friends, but I do have to tell her, when I see her getting her feelings or whatever, I said, look here, right now, I'm being a mother at this moment. Debunk the bestie, debunk the friend. Right now, I'm a mother, and this is how I feel, and I'm letting you know this is what you need to do, or else your life is going to go A, B, C, D, E, F, G. A lot of people are against being friends with their children. I disagree with that. I think you should always be a friend. However, as a parent, as a mother, you need to use what's called discernment. Know when to be a friend and know when to be a mother. Yes, you can be both. And it's important that you be both. Because these young women today, if you're so strict as a mother, they're not going to come to you when they mess up and make bad decisions, and they only make things worse when they don't feel comfortable enough coming to you getting your guidance, because you're going to blow off at the hinges, or you're going to throw Bible scriptures at them and ridicule them. They're not going to come to you. So you have to have that balance. You have to be a friend also where your child will feel comfortable coming to you, because if they got to sneak and lie to do stuff, that is when they make the worst decisions, because there was no guidance. At least if they come to you after making a bad mistake, you can kind of steer them a different direction before they make matters worse. So it's very necessary that you learn how to be both, okay? But whatever floats your boat, only you know your child. Some of these kids so off the chain, you can't be a friend. You got to be a straight up parent, military style, prison guard, correctional style type. You can't even waver with them. So you know your child. But nevertheless, this young lady, 29 years old, evidently did not feel she had enough value within herself. So she chose to make the choice of having this child, not because she wanted to, evidently. She went 9 months full term with this pregnancy, only to injure this baby because the father of that baby did not want her. And this was the first mistake. First of all, you can tell she did not have this baby because she wanted to have the baby. She had the baby in hopes. And you got a lot of, not just young women, I know grown women who have done this. You have grown women who will have a child and hope it works out for the best. They don't have a plan. They don't have a strategy. They have nothing to really prepare them for motherhood. And when the baby actually makes it here healthy, and they realize it's way more to it than what they was prepared. They wasn't prepared for the baby daddy to leave. They wasn't prepared to have to work 2-3 jobs to make ends meet. They wasn't prepared to be beefing with family because nobody wants to keep the baby for them while they run the streets. When you're not emotionally, spiritually, and financially prepared, the child ends up suffering in the end. And that's what ended up happening. This young lady specifically had this child to keep this man. She did not have a plan. She did not have a strategy. She had no plans other than to get pregnant to keep this man. And of course, this young man, like a lot of these young men, and I don't know how many of you women out here have daughters that have children, and the baby daddy has left your daughter, left your granddaughter, because you got grandparents that's still raising their grandchildren. However, whatever your family situation is, it's a lot of women out here who have had to witness their daughters being left to raise their children by themselves because these young men were just not ready. And it happens all the time. I have people in my family now. I know women who have had to put their lives on hold to step in, help their daughters because the baby daddy done left. And this is why it's very important. I've had this conversation with my child since she's been 12 years old. I always been very transparent with her, and I told her a lot of these young men are not ready to wife you. They're not. A lot of these young men will play house with you, and they're nowhere near ready to be a husband. You have young men who will have all kind of unprotected sex with you, and they still don't want to be with you. They don't want to commit to you. As mothers, we have to be raw. No Vaseline. We have to be transparent. We cannot set our daughters up for delusions and illusions. You have to let them know the reality that a man can smash you and not want you. A man can smash you and trash you, meaning he doesn't respect you, act like he doesn't even know you anymore, or they can have a child from you and still not want you and still not want the child. This is a harsh reality that a lot of women have to inform their daughters of because it's happening every day. A lot of women are not mothers, are not being 100 preparing their daughters for the truth of the obstacles that they can possibly encounter when they are dealing with these young men, because we've all been young before. We've traveled that road. We've been in love with guys that nowhere was on our level of love. And as much as we want to blame these young men for disappointing our daughters, the truth is a lot of these boys have not fully developed into manhood. Hell, you got grown men who still haven't fully transitioned and developed into manhood. So when you're talking about these young men that's under the age of 30, still trying to find themselves, still lack stability, still lacking work ethics, don't like to keep a job. Some of these young men are being raised to be bums, builder bums to society. Everybody is not raising their son to be a blessing to your daughter. Some of these young men out here are being coddled. They are still weaning off their mother's nipples. A lot of these young men, they have mothers that have overly catered themselves to cuddling them, and these young men go out into the real world and they look for your daughters to mommy them, to pamper them and take care of them. And that's why as a mother you have to make your daughters pay attention to the red flags. If she's dealing with a young man who still lives with his mother, never had a job, he lacks ambition, he has no real plans, it's important as a mother you call it out and you let her know that. If she decides to be hard-headed and still try to build a future with this young man, still decides to get knocked up and pregnant from this young man, then at the end of the day, as a mother, you have to make a decision if you're going to support her, even though she was hard-headed and didn't listen to you, or, you take the L and, still support her or however you choose. I don't knock a parent who supports their children, who still make bad decisions. I don't knock a parent who don't support a child that's made bad decisions, especially when you gave them the wisdom, the knowledge, and the understanding. You called it out for what it was going to be, and they still decided to buck what you say and still go the way they went. I don't blame a parent who does not want to step in and intervene and help with their grandchildren because you had a hard-headed ass grown little girl who thought she was a grown woman, and now that the consequences have came back to bite her in the ass, she thinks that you're supposed to be there for her and that child. I don't knock a parent either route that you choose. I really don't. I've had women who got mad at me because I did content one time saying that if you have had a child who has been disrespected and disobedient and wants you to still be there for that grandchild, you don't owe her or that grandchild that. I had many mothers get upset with me and said, well, that's not right. Why would you encourage other women not to be there for their grandchildren? Why would you encourage women not to be there? Look, if you don't mind in your golden years being 60, 70 years old, having a house full of damn baby's kids running around, while your daughter's still going to the club, while your son's still out there populating and impregnating more women, and you cannot enjoy your golden years, where you cannot just sit out on the porch in your rocking chair and drink your lemonade and listen to your gospel music, you want to keep raising children for the rest of your life? Because I'm not trying to be funny. As a parent, at some point, you look for your children to get the hell on. I know I do. I love seeing my daughter, but I love when she leaves too. I love to be able to walk around my house naked. I love to be able to scratch my left cheek on my right cheek, me and my husband. We walk around here naked drinking our coffee. That's, to me, that's living the life. Knowing you raised your child to be successful, now you can do you, that's a blessing. I don't see no blessing in you done raised your grown children, now you raising your grandchildren, now you raising your great-grandchildren. Generational curse keeps repeating itself. You went from raising your children, now you raising your grandchildren. No, I'm not doing that. I think every parent deserves a time in their life when they should enjoy just doing them. That's just my belief. But you got some women, because they stuck in that situation, they low-key hating on parents who ain't stuck in that situation. You can please hate on me, because I enjoy my life. I have no grandchildren right now. I know one day I probably will. And if it does happen, I'm good. I'm enjoying me. I like to wake up to peace, quiet, and coffee. Matter of fact, I'm going to make a shirt. That's a good idea. Let me write that down. Peace, quiet, and coffee. Hold on, y'all, because I don't want to forget this idea. Peace, quiet, and coffee. If y'all think I'm not going to make a coffee mug or a tumbler that say that, I bet you I am. And when I do, I'm going to post it on my community tab. So if anybody wants to buy it, you're more than welcome. But yes, I'm gonna make a coffee mug out of that. I think that'd be a great idea. But nevertheless, getting back to my point, because I'm digressing. This young lady found out the hard way that having this baby did not keep this young man tied to her. And should he feel bad? Should he feel guilty? I'm sure he will to a degree. But it's not his fault. At the end of the day, we need to tell our daughters, they cannot force a man to be with them. You really cannot. You cannot. And a lot of these young women like Miss Bibbs, their self-esteem is so low. The only way they feel validated is if there's a man showing them love, giving them attention, and making them feel important. We have to teach our daughters, you have to learn how to feel important, whether you have a man or you don't have a man. Because if they become so asphyxiated on only being special because a man tells them so, look at what's going to end up happening. The moment that man rejects them or neglects them, look, they end up jumping off the deep end. This young lady hurt this child because a man hurt her. She took it out on this baby who was innocent, had nothing to do with it, did not ask to be here. And we know the reason she did that was because she only had that baby to keep him. And because she wasn't able to keep the man, she didn't feel it was necessary to keep the child and continue to keep mothering that child. Not understanding that God could have still blessed her later on in life. She probably would have still, got married down the line, found a man that would have been willing to accept her and her child. She would have survived it. Now she'll never know because she's going to be in prison for the rest of her life. And as she gets older in prison, reality is going to sink in like, you know what, it really wasn't worth it. And I will definitely let you know that anytime you get incarcerated off the merit of hurting a child, the level of respect the inmates show you, and the way they deal with you, it's a very it's a very challenging situation, because inmates do not respect other inmates that are in there for hurting their children and hurting the elderly. Those two things you will never get any respect for. People will want to attack you just off the merit of that, so she'll, even in prison, she's not gonna have peace, because trust and believe, them women are gonna know what she's in there for. I worked in the jail. I've seen women who created these type of offenses, how they're treated. That's the worst thing to ever get incarcerated for. Robbing a bank, or unaliving your boyfriend or something. You don't get too much hostility towards you for that. But a child, especially, listen, she's going to really be doing some hard time, because these women in these jails are very relentless, y'all. In these prisons, they're very relentless. So she realized when that man left, everything was on her. She realized every time that baby cried, she had to be the one to pick that baby up. Every time that baby diaper needed to be changed, she had to be the one to change it. Every time that baby got up 3, 4 in the morning, she had to be the one to get up. He was not there, because her fantasy went totally different from her reality. And a lot of these young women think that. They think that when they have a baby, we're going to ride off into the sunset. We're going to live together under the same roof. When the baby cries, we're both going to wake up together, take turns holding the baby, rocking the baby to sleep. We're going to sit to the table as a family and have breakfast and have coffee and pancakes. These young women are very delusional when it comes to reality. They really, really think that having a baby is going to make them happy. Having a baby is going to make the man they want happy. In their mind, that is what they believe. I don't know, because they watch too much Tyler Perry movies. I don't know what creates that fantasy, but I know immaturity has a lot to do with it. And this is the problem. The reason why a lot of young women, and she's not the first young woman to do this, a lot of young women have unalived their children. And a lot of it has to do with they have not given themselves the chance to fully develop into womanhood. Meaning, you have not had a chance to really live your life, where you gain more experience with men, where you kind of learn what type of men to avoid and what type of men to build with. There's certain men to build with, and there's just certain men to chill with. Every man you meet is not going to be husband material. It's not going to be baby daddy material. And the problem with a lot of women, they think because they have a few things in common with a man, that this is destined, he's destined to be with me. Just because y'all both like the same drinks or y'all both like the same movies, that is not enough to determine that you and this man is equally yoked with each other. It does not dictate that. And especially sex. And I will say this, a lot of women have become conned through the climax, because they busted a few good nuts. And listen, you have some men that are very skilled in that area. You have some men that know how to lay that pipe game down. They know, they are blessed in giving that good pipe foundation. Some men are gifted. They know how to lay it down. They have that special GPS. They know exactly where to go without you having to direct them. They know exactly what they're doing. They know how to make you reach for stuff that ain't even up there. There are some men that are gifted, that are anointed in that area. But the catch is, that is all they're good for. Just because he makes you climax, it does not mean you're going to connect. Let me repeat that again. Just because you climax does not mean you're going to connect. Some men, that is all they are good at. They're not good at helping you handle business. They're not good at paying the bills. And this isn't to knock all men. I'm talking about some of the men. This ain't no male bashing, hate men channel. What I'm saying is, just like you got some sorry women out there that don't know how to cook and clean, but they know how to give mean head. Same concept. young women today, they are very, very delusional. And they shun away from wisdom. They shun away from, being given, what's the word they call, I know the word I'm trying to say. Constructive criticism. They can't handle it. They get offended very easily. This is a generation where everybody has an offense filter. Everything offends and defends them. Everything offends them to the point they got to defend everything. They got to rebuttal, buck, and go against any and everything, even if it's something that's going to be effective and beneficial to them. But she really thought having this child was going to keep this man in her life. And again, when this man decided to break up with her, let's face it, a lot of these men are not really ready or capable of giving themselves to us the right way. And it's very imperative that you teach your daughters this, so they don't have these unrealistic expectations, thinking they're going to get the man, the house, the dog, and the white picket fence. These babies get here, especially if you're dealing with a selfish man, an immature man that's very childish, and he's not used to being responsible for anything, or he has a track record where he already has multiple children from other women. I don't know if that's the case with this man here. But when the baby gets here, it actually takes away the fun, and it makes reality more real. He realizes now this is not somebody he can just smash and pass upon. This woman has a child that she needs you to help her financially provide for. Children are a lot of work. They cry, they want attention, they want to be nurtured, and most importantly, they're very expensive. A lot of these men today, as long as they can keep smashing and passing, they're fine with dealing with you. But once a child comes out of the smashing and the passing, they don't want to deal with you anymore, because now it has gone from a fling to a full-time responsibility. It was nice and dandy long as he was able to keep coming over there smashing and banging your back out every opportunity. But now that a child is involved, the needs are going to change. He knows now that mother is going to want money. He knows now that woman is going to want him to be more active. When all before, when it was just a physical thing that was occurring, he was reaping the benefits of that. It was all well and dandy because there was no responsibilities. It was simply pleasure. Now it went from pleasure to him having to provide. The thrill is gone for him. A lot of these dudes, that's how they move. As long as they can keep smashing on you, it's all well and good. But now that there's a child to take care of, they have no interest in it. And you basically, you play Russian roulette with your womb when you don't take the necessary precautions to protect yourself. Because the truth is, I don't like it, but these men have the room. They can leave. Is it right? Do I agree with them doing so? No, but they have the room to leave when it gets too much. The woman, we can't leave. These young women have these babies and realize it's not all of what it's cracked up to be. And when they can't handle the pressure, here comes the postpartum excuse. She's depressed. She's stressed out. No, that's part of it. But the main cause of why she's depressed and stressed out is because she used a manipulative tactic thinking that it was going to work in her favor. And basically her plan failed. And that's exactly what happened. She stressed out because the man she wanted, she was not able to keep. She thought having the baby was going to seal the deal, only to discover that it did not seal the deal. If anything, it made him leave even quicker. Women get possessive of these men, especially when they have a child from them. They think they own them. They think they can pretty much manipulate that child to get what they want from the man, only to find out that that man still cannot be manipulated. She still cannot conquer him. She still cannot run and regulate his life. As I was getting ready to state that, unfortunately, the men have it easy. If it gets too much for them, they can walk away and leave. They can make their payment once a month. They don't have to get up at night. They don't have to go to the doctor's appointments. Not only that, it's very heartbreaking when the man moves on and he gets with another woman who doesn't even have a child from you, or moves on with another woman and has a child from that woman and treats that child like the way you want your child to be treated. It can go so many ways. It never goes according to plan. And this is the chance you take as a woman when you play rush and roulette with your wombs. You're thinking you're going to control this man, regulate his life, threaten him. I'm not going to let you see your child. But when if he doesn't want anything to do with the child to begin with? Then you can't use the child as leverage. You can't threaten him with the child if he's not caring or acting like he wants to be in the child's life. So you feel it's a double-edged sword. You feel hella terrible because you done had this child from a man, thinking this child is going to trap the man, only for him not to even want anything to do with the child or you in that matter. It's a double-edged sword, and this is why women should not be playing this game. You see your daughters doing desperate things, to try to keep a man in her life. Let's face it, these young women, they get boy crazy. They get obsessed with, trying to keep a man to the point they're getting pregnant from him, knowing they need to be going to college, knowing they need to be working. You seeing them put their plans on hold. She's not into doing the things that she used to do before she met this man. She's not going to church all of a sudden. She's not working. She's not, you notice it ever since she's been involved with this young man. She's totally lost herself. That is your time when you need to really intervene and interject and really try to spiritually console her. Try to give her that wisdom to point her in the other direction if she's willing to receive it. Let's face it, a lot of these young women, they think they know it all. They think they know more than of us who have been there and done that. And some women have to learn the hard way. In this situation, this young woman definitely is going to learn the hard way because the child is gone. She cannot take it back. She's going to be doing life in prison. They're not going to have mercy on her because of postpartum. Let's face it, black women, we've never really been able to get away with using postpartum as an excuse to hurt our children or cause harm to them. Let's just face it, the courts do not play. They have zero tolerance when it comes to these children getting hurt. You basically become a threat to society because if you're willing to hurt a child that's defenseless and has no way of protecting his or herself, the criminal justice system definitely is not going to let you be out here in the world because you've already shown that you have no remorse for life at all. So this young lady is going to have a long journey to travel. She's going to be incarcerated in prison. And I tell you one thing, being a former correctional officer, seeing what these women go through, being incarcerated inmates, them walls get smaller and smaller. They get tighter and tighter. You feel like the walls are caving in on you. You're alone with your thoughts the majority of the day because there's nowhere to go. You can't just get in your car and drive to a park, drive somewhere to clear your mind, or go walk around the park like I do my walks at least 4 or 5 times out the week. So I'm constantly, that's my time to woosah and to do some mental restoration. There's no outlet in prison. You do go to the rec yard, but it's not the same type of outlet because you got to share that space with hundreds of other individuals, who have their own cutthroat personalities. So she's got a long journey ahead of her. Not to mention she's going to be haunted by this child's passing. She's going to hear that child in her sleep. She's going to hear that child in her head because she was the last one with that child. She's going to remember every second moment of that child's reaction when she did what she did. So she's already got a lifetime sentence, just mentally having to keep reliving that moment. But nevertheless, keep in mind, we need to coach our daughters. You see them being boy crazy. You see them being dick dumb. Dick dumb. You know what I mean? You have to the best of your ability, will them in. And, if they're willing to receive, try to toss some common sense into them. And then some of them, the truth is, they just going to be far gone. You cannot reach all of these young women. Some of them, the only way they can be reached is through prison, through losing their freedom. That's the only way some of them going to learn. And that's exactly what the case was in this situation. But if I get any updates or anything else informational concerning to this, I will do a part 2. But in the meantime, in between time, please make sure y'all hit that like button before y'all exit. Again, ladies, remember, babies do not guarantee that man is going to be in your life. Do not use babies as a weapon to try to gain control over man, or thinking that's going to keep him hostage and keep him at bay. You actually take a huge chance when you do that, because at the end of the day, these men can leave. They get bored, they get tired, they don't want to deal with it, they can leave. You can't. I don't care if it's fair or not fair. That is just how life goes. Women, we always get left with the bag. Men don't have to deal with it unless they choose to, and they get their own karma in their own way when they leave you hanging. But she didn't allow that. She took matters in her own hands, and unfortunately, now she has to deal with the consequences. So anyway, leave y'all comment below. Let me know what y'all think of the situation. It is your girl, your diva in knowledge, Lady Mocha, representing Mocha's Lounge. Again, ladies, don't forget, I do sell cable. 9,000 channels if you have an Amazon stick. Only $25 a month. I know Hulu and Netflix is getting up there. Plus, they showing the same thing over and over. Inbox me if interested. I do customize cups and I do customize bags. So you can inbox me, email me as well if you would like for me to make a cup or any type of other accessory for you. So anyway, guys, ladies, it's been a blessing. I will talk to y'all soon. Take care. Bye.